Hey guys, welcome to a special episode of the Hold On To Your Butts podcast. Today on the show I'm joined by Champ, Ryan, and Nick, and we're going to have a sports episode again. So fair warning, if you're not a sports person, do not listen to this, but we're going to break down the college football playoffs, how we would fix the NCAA, and we're all on today's Hold On To Your Butts podcast episode. Well, it's just a special. You get it. This is kind of how it works. Enjoy it. Enjoy. Bye.
Ohio State first round.
Hold on to your butt.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Hold On To Your Butts podcast special episode. That's right. This is not one of our mainline episodes. This is a spin-off. This is a backdoor pilot, if you will. Which, yes, Ryan, was my high school nickname, the Backdoor Pilot. Appreciate you guys tuning in on this college football championship Saturday. So I am joined here with a couple of good buddies. We'll go around the table here in a second and introduce everyone. But just a heads up, this is a sports show. It's a departure from what we typically do. It's a little bit, we're not going to be talking about video games necessarily today. We're not going to be talking about movies. So if you don't like sports, don't listen. But if you do like sports and maybe like that other stuff, this is the kind of content from us. Let us know. Email us at geeks, that's GEEKS, at HOTYB.co. If you want to be a part of the show, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to give us topics to discuss on the show, whether it's the main show or ideas for spin-off shows that you want to hear, please be part of the conversation. All right, so let's go around the table here and introduce ourselves. I'll start with you, Mr. Aaron.
Champ.
I like it.
Champ on sports.
Your name, Champ on sports. So please, Aaron, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Champ on sports. I like long walks on the beach, little fluffy dogs, and my favorite color is tangerine.
Interesting stuff. Now, I also want to say that we are from Columbus, Ohio, and thus Ohio State sports fans. So as we're sitting here right now, we are all wearing Ohio State jerseys. So
From our
yes,
point of view,
there will be a bit of a slant to our discussion today as Buckeye fans. So love us or hate us. I think most of people outside of Ohio hate us, and that's okay. Right. We feed off that. That's sort of what we do, right, as fans. So Aaron, thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you. Ryan. Actually been on the show a couple times before.
As a guest, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Ryan. Remind our viewers who you are.
Say I've done a couple podcasts before, but big time OSU fan. A little bit of a bias on this one. A little bit of just want to throw that out there. So I guess we'll be talking a little bit more about how Ohio State
would and could make the playoffs, right?
And
also, Ryan is sort of our NBA insider. Probably the biggest NBA fan around the table here, I think.
Yeah, big
a lot of us are big on the NBA drama in storylines, but Ryan actually understands the sport, unlike maybe the three of us, but maybe that's true. It's true, maybe
Princeton
true.
Princeton
offense is his thing. There you go. And last but not least, Nick.
That's right. I think I was here at the very, very beginning.
You were actually on the episode 1.
I think I was episode 1, and then I never got another call from you. And,
this is weird. This is awkward.
Now I'm here. But yeah, it's
there's also an unreleased NFL preview.
There is.
Right. We have done a couple.
So my plan is at the end of the year, if this sports show is successful, we will use and cut up that NFL preview show that was never aired because we made some pretty bold predictions on that view show.
We did.
We'll have back in. Not going to come true. No, but
I was a teasing preview.
I think 6 of them might, but we'll explore that again later. We'll see. So. Guys, the topics at hand today. There's a few things that we want to discuss, okay? I'm just going to kind of lay that out for everybody. But before I do that, I want to say thank you to the newest sponsor of the Hold On To Your Butts podcast, the Thurman Cafe, located in the heart of German Village, is the one and only place to get the biggest and best burger you've ever had. How many years did you win Best Burger in the City?
Too many to count.
Too many to count. You gotta love that confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, Thurman Cafe there. Tell them the Hold On To Your Butts crew sent you. There's no discount. Just tell them we sent you. Because we want to know if you're listening. So thank you to Thurman Cafe, sponsor, friend of the show. All right, so a couple of topics I want to get into today. We're going to talk about the playoffs. As we record this right now, Oklahoma is destroying TCU in the Big 12 championship game.
That's right.
So that looks like that's a lock, right? And as Ohio State fans, we really wanted to see Oklahoma lose. So we'll get into that a little bit and how that might affect Ohio State's chances of getting into the playoffs. On top of that, I wanted to discuss a way to fix college football. A couple of months ago, a drunk and I sat down on a few beers, and we highlighted Champ sat down and highlighted a few ways that we think we could fix the current state of college football. How do we pay the players? How do we ensure that you're getting the top level competition at all times? And I think we've got a solution that we'll present to you guys, and you can sort of help us riff on that and decide if that's a good idea. And then finally, well, that might be all we have time for. Let's see. And then maybe we can get into a little bit of the NBA, on unbelievable season so far, and the goings on in the NFL. As a Packers fan, I don't really want to talk about the NFL, but what are you going to do, right? You guys are Cleveland fans, so what can I say?
Hope, Brogan. Yeah. The Packers have
they
hope.
do. They do.
He's coming back.
They have wins.
He's practicing. He's throwing the ball, which is fantastic.
He's in those great State Farm commercials.
He is. Yep.
With Clay.
He's making money elsewhere.
Fine.
So let's start with the playoffs, the college football playoffs. Oklahoma wins. Looks like that's a done deal. So right now, Oklahoma is the first team to officially punch their ticket. Is that fair to say? I mean, USC I don't think is getting in. I don't think there's a case to put USC ahead of Alabama and Ohio State. Is there?
You know, being on the East Coast, we've really got non-Pac-12 bias. So I was a little concerned about USC running the table, beating Stanford convincingly, but I think Ohio State has it in the bag if they win big today against the Badgers.
So that's what's interesting is I think the last playoff rankings. Can you pull up the most recent playoff rankings, Ryan? Oh, my man. So here's the most recent playoff rankings, and I think this is super telling. I'm going to tell you why I think Ohio State's got a good shot here. Okay, number 1, Clemson. Number 2, Oklahoma. Oh, this is the top 25. Is this the playoff rankings or the?
It was one was Clemson, 2
was Auburn,
3 Oklahoma, and 4 Wisconsin.
5 Bama, 6 Georgia,
6 Georgia, 7 Miami, and 8 Ohio State. So the only idle team out of that's Alabama, the 5 seed. Otherwise, top 4. Well, Oklahoma wasn't playing one of the 3, but they're already in. So basically, of the remaining games, we've got a 1 versus 7, a 2 versus 5, a 2 versus 6, and a 4 versus 8, which is Ohio State.
You could almost make the case that the committee might be looking at this like an 8-team playoff.
It does look like a quarterfinal we have right here.
Doesn't it? I mean, that's actually kind of... I never thought about that.
It's
That's
a full
pretty
10
interesting.
teams, and then if there's a BYU or a Notre Dame that can make it close, then it really throws a wrench in the whole
That is
thing.
super... I've never even considered that until this moment right now, but that really is... Yeah. So what do you do with Alabama in that situation, though, sitting at number 5? I mean, to me... Putting Alabama, I brought this up to you earlier today. I think, to me, putting Alabama at number 5 is the committee saying, this is where I think you're going to end up at the end of the season because you don't have a chance to better your case.
You can't lose ground or gain ground.
Yeah, and lose or gain ground, and so we think ultimately when the dust settles, you'll still be number 5 because you can't go up, you can't go down. Because there's nobody's making room for them in the top, especially with Oklahoma, right? No one's making room for them.
Well, the room made is if Wisconsin loses.
Yeah.
Any of the top 4 teams lose, I think that I don't know if the team that wins won't necessarily make it in over Alabama. Is the way that they set up Alabama at number 5.
How do you prioritize the criteria? Because it comes down to what is important. Is it your worst loss being better than?
So let's break that down. What's everyone's worst losses here? I guess the
Ohio
question is
State
really
has
Ohio
the worst
State.
loss.
Yeah. I mean,
But
it's hard to look past.
You look at something like
drudging by Iowa. What the hell? I mean, if you would have lost by 10 to Iowa, that's a different story.
But you look like other sports, you have a bad loss, you have a bad game, bad week, and you can still get in. So, I mean, should it be disqualifying, or is it about how you're playing at that time? So, I mean, How do you value a loss? I mean, people lose.
The only other issue, and there's many issues with the Iowa loss, is that it came late in the season, right? It came so late in the season that they always say, an early loss, you can get better and you can move on from that. But to come off of a huge win like Penn State and have a hangover game like that, might the committee look at that and say, if you have a big win against Wisconsin, you're going to come out hungover again against, somebody else?
They barely won that Penn State game.
At 1 point. 1 point. Couldn't have won it by less. Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, but they won it. They won it and had to come back to do it. So that showed grit. That showed,
If they beat Wisconsin, it'll be, 3 top 25 wins?
To Alabama's 1. I mean, so that's where it's really interesting.
You're talking about criteria, your wins and your
No, Bama has 2. Didn't they beat Georgia too?
They didn't play.
Oh, they haven't played. They don't play.
No.
They're on the other side. Yeah.
Can you Bama's schedule?
Yeah, they beat Mississippi State on the road. And then LSU, that's their...
Alabama's best win was against Fresno State, who is now ranked, and they weren't ranked before.
Did they also? No, they also played LSU. LSU's 17, I think.
Mississippi State.
Their best wins were Fresno and LSU. And Mississippi State. Yeah, but those were... I guess those are good wins.
But what's their loss? Their loss is to the current number 2 team.
To Auburn. Right. And it'd be pretty hard. So say Auburn wins... and somebody else 4 loses, would they put Alabama and make them face against Auburn again, same season?
It's going to come down to OSU and Auburn.
Alabama. A Buckeye fan, I think, wants Auburn to lose today.
Yeah, explain that to me. Why do we want Auburn? Why should that matter to us too much?
If Georgia beats Auburn, Georgia's in, and that weakens Bama's loss even more.
Yeah.
And whereas with Oklahoma winning today, that really strengthens the Buckeyes' early season loss. They had the guts to go out and schedule an Oklahoma.
They didn't schedule a Mercer.
I don't know what I did. I dadded the phone. I dadded the phone. You had it, and I lost.
They didn't schedule a Mercer. They scheduled an Oklahoma and lost to Oklahoma.
Right. So here we go. I'm going to give you Alabama's schedule. I'm going to walk through game by game.
Okay.
Here we go. Remember, this was the big opening game of the season, Florida State versus Alabama. Look at Florida State now. The worst season Florida State's had in forever,
Fisher got
right?
out of town.
Yeah, their coach is gone.
And they beat them 24-7. I mean, given how bad Florida State is that year and how good Alabama's supposed to be, shouldn't that have been like a huge blowout? All right. Then we have number 25, Fresno State. Right after that, Alabama won 41-10. Colorado State, Vanderbilt. Mississippi, in which they won 60-3, by the way. Texas A&M, Arkansas, Tennessee. None of those teams I just mentioned
This
were
is
ranked.
all garbage.
The SEC is trash this year.
And now Mississippi State's ranked too.
Yep. Here we go. 24. All right, then here's the big one. LSU, Alabama, 24-10.
LSU is a shell of themselves. The LSU you're dreaming of was Nick Saban's LSU, was Les Miles' LSU. The team they have right now has no quarterback and no identity.
They followed that immediately with, Mississippi State. Okay.
Dak's gone.
Yep. And then this is, you know what, fuck Nick Saban, because this is what I'm saying. This is it right here, okay? They play Mercer. And apparently they do this every year. They play Mercer before the Iron Bowl. So they play Mercer, and then they play Auburn.
What is a Mercer?
I have no idea what that is.
Mercer is the noun for a mercy win.
A Mercer.
That's awesome.
Where is Mercer?
I don't even know. Could anyone tell me anything about the University of Mercer?
Mercer.
Yeah,
it's a fun word.
Bunch of BS. I don't know if we're allowed to cuss on this.
Yeah, fuck it. Cuss away, baby.
Okay. Bunch of fucking bullshit.
We put that explicit tag on this thing. Christian podcast. No, we are.
Josh Groban.
Yeah, we explicit tag on this thing. Go nuts, man. But I mean, don't get like Ray from The Office, motherfucker. Whoa, Ralph. Whoa.
Here's what I'll say. Nick Saban last year was on record stating that if you don't win your conference title, you have no business being in the playoff. Mm-hmm. Those are his words.
And honestly, I don't even believe, where do you guys stand on that? I don't think that is necessarily...
Why do we have a committee if it's not beyond the potential of that?
I agree.
Well, we'll see more and more scenarios come out in the next few years. There's going to be conference championships that necessarily don't mean anything, like this year with the Pac-12.
Yeah. You know what? And honestly, I'm not saying that they don't mean. They shouldn't mean something.
Put that on Friday night.
Yeah,
too, right?
Yeah, always.
It's kind of in the back burner.
So, I guess my point is, conference championships should mean and do mean something. They're another feather in your cap. Like, they're another thing to gain that's going to help improve your case. And so what I think we're looking at this year that could potentially benefit Ohio State when you're comparing the two teams, a 10-2 Ohio State and a 11-1 Alabama, is the fact that Ohio State did get. This is all assuming they beat Wisconsin. That's a whole other story, But the one way to talk about this is they beat Wisconsin. I'm still very nervous about this game.